Did you hear?
Yeah, girl, what? Hey guys, thanks for joining us again on Girl, Did You Hear? I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jessica.
Today, we are going to talk about worldly events and just crazy shit
Remember
that
when?
we've experienced
Right.
since in our lifetimes,
Oh,
right?
man.
What prompted this topic for us was Jaden and I were having a discussion about the types of things that she thinks that she's going to see in her lifetime.
Like in her future.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I remember growing up, my parents had said, and my dad thought that we would see flying cars in our generation.
I see.
So that was like something that I always heard him talk about growing up. And so it was interesting to hear what Jaden had said. And she felt like that her generation is going to be the generation that sees the flying cars, because I don't think it's going to happen in our generation.
I don't think so either.
And so that's kind of what we were talking about. And then we were talking about like other lifetime things that she's experienced, like COVID.
Yeah.
And so Jaden's my youngest bonus daughter. She's only 16. So when she experienced COVID, like a million other kids, they were all really, really young. So it's crazy to think about that is going to be something in their history books that like is going to be something that Jaden's kids are going to learn about.
Right.
And that Jaden can like talk about, like that she like experienced.
She could be like a little grandma and be like, I
went through that.
COVID of 2020.
You know, because there were things, I can't think of them right now because I'm not a good history person.
Right, not a huge history buff
but
either.
I recall moments of my life when my parents were like, I lived through that, or their parents had lived through that, or whatever we were learning about in time, you know? So I thought it was just an interesting thing that we could talk about today.
Absolutely.
Where were you? Where were you when 9/11
Geometry
happened?
class.
What
I was in school, and I remember
what grade were you?
Sitting in class. I can't remember. I think it was middle school though. What year?
It would have been high school for us, because it was definitely because
I have 9/11, but what?
it was 2001, I believe.
Have
Let
to
me
check our
fact check.
facts on that one.
I'm fact checking, but I'm pretty sure it was in high school.
I was in class, and I remember sitting in class, and the teacher was talking about stuff, and then all of a
2001.
sudden, the TV clicks on, because it always clicks on every morning for like those like
the little news
announcement. Channel 1, remember Channel 1?
Yes.
So it would always click on for that, and then the TV just came on, and it was the news. And it was the first tower had been hit, and it was like the smoke and the devastation. And then as we're watching that happen, we see the second plane hit. And then all of us in the class were like, oh my gosh.
Were you all just like, everyone was probably
it was
quiet,
just quiet, right? Like I remember, and just like gasps and like, is this really going on? And like the teachers are like, just stuck at the same screen we are, and they're like, it's okay, kids, like everything's all right. Like it was a crazy, it's wild to think back.
Yeah, it's wild to think that was 23 years ago.
Yeah, like
that
landscape has changed so much to think about. Then.
That is insane to think that it was 23 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
It does not feel like it was that long ago, which is crazy to me. Like time warp.
That shook the world, dude.
It did, dude. Like that was a huge, huge time in the world. I was not in class because I didn't go to class. I was at home, ditching class, playing hooky that day. But my mom and I were watching it on the news, and I think I had a couple friends over that morning who also were ditching class with me.
We're having mom's class.
Yeah. We were doing like home ec.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, there you go.
Home ec. But yeah, I remember seeing it, and it was interesting. And at that time for me, I knew someone that lived in New York, who was my ex-boyfriend. He lived in New York at that time. And it was crazy, like knowing somebody that had lived
That was there.
Yeah, that was like experiencing it there. Like we weren't close. He wasn't my boyfriend at that time.
Right.
Like,
He was an
we
ex
just
at that time.
he was no, he's not. We
Oh.
were just like friends. Like we were just like associates.
Oh, I
you
see
know?
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had not like connected in that way yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy, crazy worldly time. And I remember from that event, there was a lot of conspiracies that came.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll talk about the conspiracy stuff
Here
later.
in a minute,
But
yeah.
there was a lot that came from that, which was crazy.
Wild. And I mean, it was, to me, it was crazy to watch it band us together as a country.
Yeah.
Like, they call it Patriots Day.
Yeah.
Probably for a reason. Like, all of the accolades that went to like the firefighters, the first responders, like learning about all the dogs and stuff that participated in like human rescue and things along that nature. It was like it sparked camaraderie for an industry that I don't think anybody really had kind of that soft spot for.
Yeah.
Like it was fun to watch it. I mean, fun to watch it band the country together. Let me finish that statement. Woo!
Whoa, slow down. Hang on, guys. Hang on.
I know.
She's circling around.
I had like the biggest mouth and the biggest foot, so those two fit really well together.
She circles back around and it all comes together. Don't worry, guys.
I know. Don't judge me on the first words that come out of my mouth. There's more.
You're like, now, fuck. What was I saying?
It was special to be a part of the United States and watch us come together as a country.
Yeah.
In kind of like
the support and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool. That to me, that type of like unity, and it sucks that such a tragic event had to happen for that unity to like take effect. But I think like that type of unity to me really symbolizes like the American like patriot,
right?
Like the patriotism.
It shows that we do actually
like care. That is like the.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the American dream, but like the feeling of like,
yeah,
we're
that's what we
banding
want to
together
represent.
for this.
It's
right,
like we
exactly.
are all united.
And it sucks that I don't feel that our world is that way anyway at any point right now.
No.
Like if something like that happened right now in our world, I do not think that we would band together the same way that we did.
One of the events we're going to talk about that's coming up, I think, is what divided us.
Ooh,
as a society. Ooh.
Now I'm curious.
I know, right?
What do you have? We're going to talk about over there.
We've got a. Don't we have a timeline to follow here?
Not necessarily.
Well, kind
of. Could
of.
go in any order,
but that would be weird.
It'd be weird. Okay, my little Virgo. What order would you like to discuss our topics in?
So the next one would be Katrina.
Yeah.
Right? Like a natural event.
A natural disaster. Yeah.
Because that happened in 2005.
Yeah.
So that one was weird.
That was a big one.
That was sad to watch.
It was so sad.
The hardest part for me for that was afterwards when like people were getting taken advantage of by like contractors.
Yes.
And getting picked on or picked over by like
how
companies coming in and just being like, "Oh, we're totally going to do this for you. Give me all your money. We'll fix your stuff." And then nothing.
Boom, they're gone.
Nothing. That would devastate me.
I just hope that all of those people that did
got theirs. Yeah.
Got theirs.
Yeah.
Got their bad karma.
Yeah.
Because that shit ain't not right. You should not do that. I do not like when people take advantage of people that come like from a disaster or a tragedy of some sort.
In like a moment of despair.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously, I felt bad for the humans, of course, affected by any tragedy, but my heart always goes towards the animals when there's any sort of tragedy or especially a natural disaster. Yeah, like in Colorado, we unfortunately have fires out here all the time. Not long ago, there was like 6 fires burning all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
In the freaking mountains, like to the point that like ash, like I've seen fires bad enough out here that ash is like falling from the sky on your car.
Ash.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's real shit, guys.
Especially when like California and Canada and then
but
are also on fire. Yeah.
Do you remember a couple years ago that fire that like was in town?
Yeah.
That like took out freaking Broomfield neighborhood and all of those people that could not get home to their animals and their dogs and stuff and their pets that were in their houses and they were just gone. Like it literally makes me want to just like cry right now thinking about it.
Super sad.
It makes me so sad. Like that's probably like one of my biggest fears, I would say, with like a house and like having animals, like
or just any sort of situation,
not
like
being
that.
able to get my animals safe if something happened.
Right, just not having them there with you. Yeah,
that it scares me a lot. And I know in Katrina, I remember seeing tons of videos of people like on like canoes and stuff, kayaks, like looking for animals. Like you would see the stranded animals, like the dogs like swimming around, and I'm like, oh,
they're just tired. They've been struggling for hours.
It breaks my heart, guys. Like I cannot. So you know, I have like a huge soft spot for pit bulls. You know the show Pit Bulls and Parolees?
Yes.
Freaking love that show. Anyways, the lady that owns that whole show, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Tia, I think her name is. She had a huge one of her big rescue initially was in California for many, many years. They moved from California because they were in like the fire danger zone.
Right.
And they had a lot happen.
Had to evacuate a couple times.
Too many times.
Yeah.
And she has like hundreds of dogs at her rescue.
Like to evacuate
and so when they were they went to Louisiana, and they had a very nice facility there, but they were in the pathway of Katrina and they lost everything there. Oh no. And I remember watching like a special on her YouTube channel about them like getting the dogs out and like the stuff that they were going through to like prep for the storm and try to get all these dogs to like safe places and stuff like that. Like it's a lot. Like these rescues, like it's a lot for humans. Like
just get all the moving pieces.
Think about how difficult it would be if you knew
like right now.
Yeah, like if you had to grab your freaking bag and get out of your house.
What do you grab?
What are you going to grab?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you are thinking about these animals and trying to get them to safety.
And there's such a multitude of them.
And what about like supplies?
Yeah.
For the animals? Like what if the animals need medications? Like that's just a lot to think about that. And I don't think people really take into account what a lot of animal rescues also have to go through when it comes to worldly tragedies and weather events and stuff like that.
Natural disasters and stuff. Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad. It makes me so sad. If I ever won the lottery, it would like that would be like my dream would be to like open a rescue every dog that was in a kill shelter. I would take them out of the kill shelter. First of all, I don't even know why kill shelters even exist.
Overpopulation.
I mean, we cannot talk about this. That's a very hard subject to talk about.
I'm sorry.
But I mean, yes, I get it. It's a people problem too. Like it's a human problem too. But at the same time, like there's got to be another way.
There is. There is. I mean,
there's got to be another way.
It's a form of recycling.
It is.
Really, and we're not good at putting our plastics where they go. So
yeah,
we're not very responsible as a species.
We're not. No, the oceans.
And it's sad.
The oceans have. There's
plastics in the oceans, turtles with straws stuck in their nose, and tons of dogs and cats in shelters
that get killed every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, even like the sea life and stuff like that, you know, from our waste.
Right.
Like, it's sad. Like, humans are sad people.
Well,
we suck sometimes.
But here we are.
I
mean, demanding our own presence and our own existence and our own creature comforts. We will not, like, how many plastics do I got? Like,
hey, I have a recycle bin.
We do recycle. We do.
What happens after I put it in the recycle bin? I don't know.
Not my responsibility.
That is not my responsibility. I do my part by taking it and putting it in the bin.
But I pay for a service.
And I hope that it's getting disposed and broken down properly and not just dumped into a freaking ocean.
Right. Right.
Because I love the ocean.
Not becoming a part of Plastic Island.
But I have seen documentaries of trash just floating for miles in big ass bunches in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like it's sad. And like you see people out there like that are trying to make a difference like for free.
Yeah. Volunteering,
trying to make a difference in the freaking world and out there on like their own personal vessels and like with their own team of people trying to clean up the ocean as much as they can and document these problems, which good for them for doing that.
Right.
But holy shit, guys.
It's hard to get people to care.
It really is. It real like, what does it take for people to care? Because it doesn't take a lot for me to care. Like, all you gotta do is show me a picture of an animal with
Suffering, and you're like,
suffering,
I'm sold.
and I'm cutting up everything I can, using every paper straw I can, like whatever, you know. Obviously, we split time in Florida, and so out there, everything is very turtle friendly when it comes to like the straws and stuff, you know.
I mean, and I think that, you know, here in Colorado, we don't probably have to be as turtle friendly. Can we not have?
We don't have
pasta straws.
Right. I mean, I'm not a fan of the paper straws because they kind of have like a weird texture.
A taste or a texture.
They have like a weird texture after a while. But there are alternative, like eco-friendly, recyclable straws and other things you can purchase that are not like the papery texture material. That's just like the cheapy.
There's ways around.
It's a cheap version.
Yeah.
What's your apocalypse go-to bag? Do you have one of those though? Like legit, if something was to happen.
So do we have a bug out bag?
A bug out bag to me is different than like a fire's coming. We need to get out of the house now.
No, I don't have either of those bags. Unfortunately, I am a little unprepared at the moment. But after this conversation, I will do my best.
I'm gonna make a list
to at least put some effort because it's so true. I mean, like you think about it, I get worried about when I light candles, right? Like, fuck, I lit the house on fire because I let a candle go for too long. It's a weird thing, but it's the paranoia is there. And like if something happened and we had to leave, like I don't have, I mean, I would have the dogs, a little bit of their food and something to control them with, like a harness and a leash or something, right? Because you can't just have them all willy-nilly under stressful situations. They have to have a way to be controlled. So I would have them and their resources, like them and their food, like a way to protect myself and my family.
But these are things you have to like gather. So you have to like think.
These are also things that have to be like small and be able to like put in like a bag.
In a freaking
Yeah. Like
it's like if you're on foot, you want to be able to have
hold
it in a
all
your stuff.
Yeah. So like I'm taking very small amounts of all of this, but like I really need to have. Do you have a bug out bag? Do you have a fire protection Tupperware box? With all your family photos?
Have a fire protection bag in our safe, in our closet that has our birth certificates in it, our marriage license.
The stuff that's hard to replace.
Yeah. And like our social security cards. But we don't have like a bag that like if something was happening right now that we could like grab and go. Or I've seen like a lot of people in Florida, they'll have like their hurricane prep like tubs.
Yeah.
So they have their tubs just like ready.
That's smart.
All the time, obviously. But I mean, I feel like for hurricanes and stuff like that, like weather type events, you tend to know ahead of time that it's possibly going to be coming. Like right now, there's a hurricane hitting freaking Texas and that Louisiana. Whole side right there. And they've known about that for like over a week.
Right.
That was possibly going to be heading their direction.
Right. That this could happen. And like when it snows really bad up here, we have a little bit of a heads up. Hey, it's going to snow really bad maybe Thursday or Friday. So everybody buys milk.
The issue with that is as soon as they say, hey, we could possibly get a blizzard everybody rushes to the store and buys everything like it's freaking COVID again.
Right.
Okay. So don't be an asshole and buy everything like that. It's not necessary. You don't need to do that. Save stuff for other people. Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Great PSA. It's not going to change anything.
I know, but I just feel better saying it. And people, when they say that, they'll be like, yeah, what she said. No, I'm just kidding.
I agree with that lady.
Yeah. I mean, people obviously are not going to change based off my fucking opinion, you know?
But they might consider it.
Yeah. Or not.
Who knows?
I really don't care. But, no, I don't have a bag. We need a bag. We don't have a hurricane prep thing or anything like that either. I mean, we're in the RV, so, I mean, if the hurricane was coming to Florida and we knew that we were going to be in the path of it, we would just get in the RV and drive
it out of the path.
Out of the way. Out of the hurricane's way. Although, we're not too terrified of hurricanes. At least, I'm not.
Fair.
We were in Florida one year. This was probably like 3 years ago. And I forget which hurricane it was. But it was coming through, and it was shortly after COVID time because we had Autumn and Jane with us. We went to Universal Studios for one day, but it was after COVID, so things were kind of like opening back up. Masks were optional to wear at Universal.
Nice.
But they still only sold like a certain amount of tickets each day. We had to have like a reserved time to come in. And we had tickets booked ahead of time for this day, like months prior to our trip. We had
your
booked.
itinerary planned to the hour.
We had to, yeah. And then they're like, oh, the hurricane's coming. And we're like, oh, well, we're still going to go to Universal. And we're like, let's just chance it. Like, it was a 2.5 hour drive 3 hour drive from Sarasota to Orlando. And my brother's like, let's just go. Like, worst case,
well, Orlando's
if it's that
like
bad,
inland, right?
It's like, it's not like inland. Like, it is. Orlando is like an hour and a half from the East Coast beach.
Yeah.
So it's inland, but it's not like in the middle. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's more north.
Right.
I mean, Orlando's over here, Sarasota's over here.
Right.
So they're on opposite sides of the state.
They're like east-west of each other. Yeah.
So we knew that even where the hurricane was coming, it would have hit like Sarasota first and then went to Orlando. So worst case, we were thinking, all right, well, if it's shitty or if they close early and we're over there, we'll just find something else to do in Orlando because there's thousands of things to do.
Yeah, that's where the other parks are.
Yeah. And we just chanced it. So we went and it was awesome. There was like
nobody there.
Anybody
the weather's
there.
Great. Yeah.
It was overcast. Like, it wasn't raining. It didn't rain on us the entire time, which was awesome. It was just overcast.
Yeah.
There was hardly anybody there because no one wanted to be there. And then probably like around like 4-ish, they made the little sirens and they made the announcement they were closing the park early for the hurricane. And we're like, okay, we had been there since they opened, you know? So we had a day's worth at Universal.
You got your tickets worth.
Yeah. And then we drove back in the hurricane, like as it was making its land.
It's like, roar.
Yeah.
Like,
we're like, hey, we're driving through. And it was fine. I mean, we weren't like in the hurricane, but it was definitely raining and
stormy and windy and
outside of that though, like, have you ever been in like a big weather, like tornadoes? I know you grew up in Nevada. Did you guys have dust storms out there?
We did, but like they weren't anything to put on the news.
Really?
So like,
have you ever seen the photos of the dust storms coming through Phoenix and Arizona?
I have.
Dude, they're wild. I'll pop one up for you guys because it's insane. That's legit.
Yeah.
That actually happens.
Wall of sand.
Yes, that's actually happens.
So crazy.
I have actually experienced that. Like, I remember being outside as a kid.
That's nuts, dude.
And like one of those will come through and it's
like,
pretty crazy. You're like, what the fuck? You don't know what is going on at that point.
No, I can't imagine.
I have this like weird thing where I wanted to like see a tornado from like afar. Like close enough that I can see it and like experience it, but far enough that I'm not like in danger. If that's possible.
She's like, I want to be an observer of a tornado, please.
I just think it'd be really cool. I don't know. I just think weather like that is very interesting.
Weather
to
events.
Me. Yeah. Like, because it's powerful.
Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't do that.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Like, I didn't know that hurricanes, they like suck a lot of the water like from like the surrounding areas of
like I've
Florida,
seen
like
the
Tampa
beaches
Bay.
happen, like what happens to the beaches when a hurricane's about to happen, like the water recedes.
Yes. I've seen pictures of Tampa Bay, which is a pretty big bay.
Right. Just empty.
Completely sucked dry from, and I'm like, what? I literally had no idea that happened. I don't know. Maybe I just missed that part in my geography
you've lived
class.
in landlocked states the entire time. Why would you know that?
Yeah, and I never really. I guess I've never experienced
You've
a hurricane
never been in an area where
it.
hurricanes were a thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like, what? That's insane. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
crazy stuff like that is bizarre to me. What else do you think about it, or anything? What else do you think about anything?
I don't know. If I were to like loop us back into our worldly events, the next one that happened to us that wasn't natural was the stock market crash.
Ooh, that was a big one
in 2008.
That was a big one.
I think our parents felt that one a little bit more than we did.
Yeah, we were in our 20s,
young 20s. Yeah. So like life was too expensive
But
at that point anyways. So like
It
it
didn't
didn't matter
matter.
if the economy was tanking or not. I couldn't afford it.
I remember a lot of people were
Super
pissed.
mad.
They lost a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks though. Like I don't really recall what it like was exactly. Was it a political thing that caused it?
I don't.
I
I was too focused on where to get my ramen from.
My foot fell asleep. I'm sitting up. I'm sitting crisscross applesauce. My foot fell asleep.
Oh, wake up, foot.
Um,
But no, I mean, I remember a lot of people around me just being upset because of whatever they had invested in the stock market they lost, or the real estate took a dive. Like all of their properties that they had planned on making tons of money for were worth nothing.
would you
Like,
ever invest in the stock market?
I think I kind of already am with all those little 401ks I've been picking up with every company I've ever signed up for. So,
But you're not like
I'm not actively participating.
right.
No.
You just have a 401k. That's different though than like the stock market.
No. Yeah. I have no investments.
Do you think you
Anybody
ever
wants
would?
to, like, teach me how? Yeah, I'm sure eventually that's how. I mean, I want to grow up one day to where my money makes me money. I just have to have.
One day.
I just have to have enough money
We're
to make
still
that
learning
happen.
to be grown-ups.
Yeah. Well, I think we will always learn to be grown-ups.
True.
Like we're always learning how
That's true.
to be that next phase of ourselves.
What stage do you become this? What age do you become the investor?
I think when you have enough money to invest. Yeah, when there's
no age.
excess money.
There is no age. That's true. That's true.
There's money to be invested.
Correct.
Like
yeah.
when you're not when you're
there's
not
no age
cracking
for
off
that.
from check to
Because
check.
I know people in their 20s that are
invested.
currently
Yeah.
investing,
Which
and
is
like,
smart.
Yeah. If I knew what I knew now
Mhm.
in my 20s about
Apple,
passive income,
or just any
and
sort
just
of Ooh,
anything
passive
like
income.
yeah, like gaining that passive income, and trying to find those little investments, to give you that passive income each
would have
month.
signed up for those.
I would have got into and done a lot of things differently.
Yeah.
In my 20s for sure.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah.
But the world was crashing, remember?
Yeah. That's probably why. I mean,
it was not on the front
there was
of
a lot
anybody's
going on.
mind about investing anything at that time.
There's a lot going on in the early 2000s.
Because I remember like a lot of people lost money from their retirements because
They did.
the stock market crashed.
They did.
So even though my 401ks are not tied up in the market, they are.
In a way, yeah. I mean, if something, like if it crashed again, they probably, because
they take a dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
because all of that affects everything
as
else.
in like changing those numbers and making all that move. No, that's not me.
Right.
But like the last event that we've all had to go through most recently would be COVID.
Yeah.
And I think that's what dissolved the unity of all of us, because it drew a hard line between me and you, and it was about 6 feet wide.
Yeah.
Like
I think we
taught ourselves to be antisocial. We taught ourselves to suspect our neighbor, like to fear them even, because I don't want you to get me sick because I don't want to kill grandma.
Right.
And I mean,
COVID was interesting. I remember dropping Jaden off at school, and she was in middle school, and I went to the grocery store that morning, and it was like it was right in the very, very beginning of the announcements of this COVID
crazy
thing,
virus, right?
And I remember being in the store at 7:30 a.m.
Okay.
during the week. Just dropped Jaden at school.
It's like a Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
The freaking store was packed, dude. And there was already like stuff out. Like people were out of things. Because Trevor had said, like, they were talking about this on the news, and I remember him saying, like, hey, maybe stop at your store on the way back and just get a couple extra things, like maybe an extra bag of dog food and some extra things we can put in the freezer or whatever.
Toilet paper.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The
freaking toilet paper
of 2020.
Jesus, I forgot about that. But yeah, dude, I remember being in the store, and I remember, okay, the freaking checkout lines was mayhem.
Yeah.
The lines, you couldn't tell where the line ended, where it started.
Just everybody was
The lines were going down
there.
aisles.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was in a line. I remember talking to this lady, and her and I were both, like, we didn't have carts full of stuff either. I just want to let you guys know. Like,
you weren't hoarding items.
No, I literally went to get what I went to get, And I was like, people are going insane. That's the thought I was having. The lady and I were having this conversation standing in line about how we thought everybody was going insane over COVID.
Right.
And they're buying all of this food. And like, I just thought it was completely insane to see that happen so quickly.
That desperate mentality of, I need this.
Yeah. And then it made me sad.
Yeah.
Like, as we progressed through COVID, like to see all the different shifts that people were having in things that people were doing. And it's like another example of when tragedy strikes in some way, it just shows how shitty people can be.
How vulnerable we are.
And how, like, what people are willing to do. Like, people really don't give a fuck. They really, really don't. And it's really sad to see that come out in people, especially during an event like COVID or 9/11 or any sort of worldly thing that happens that causes a crisis within your community.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, makes me really sad to be a human. And not that I am that way,
I get it, but like
to
there's
classify
a
myself
there's a yin
as
and
that.
yang.
Yeah.
Like there's a light and a bright side. You were just on the brighter side of that topic. you got to have both. You got to have both. You have to have the balance.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. Good and evil. It's been a tale as old as time.
I know. But damn, like when it happens and you see it, it hits me hard every time.
It's sad. It was sad to see the overconsumption of everybody because I think that kind of led to an overconsumption mentality because it's like you would go through the aisles in these stores and all the toilet paper's gone, all the paper towels gone,
cleaning products,
all the water's gone, the cleaning products are gone, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol, milk, just basic food items. And I understand why we were all scared because it was scary.
Right.
But then it's like it went from you consuming things to, well, now we've got this, and this is going to get delicate. Now we've got this shot out that, if you don't get, you are also going to kill grandma.
Right.
And so that drew a hard line between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. You almost had to carry around little cards to prove that you were one of the ones.
Yes. I remember when they gave you that card.
My mind. Like
they're like, don't lose this card.
I never took a shot. Like I am still original. Don't have any of those microbiomes.
I
floating
did
around
take
in mine.
one. And the only reason I did at that time, I'm not going to talk about vax or anti-vax stuff.
Yeah.
But my dad lived with us at that time. And he was elderly. He had just moved out here.
Yeah, he's immune compromised.
I moved him out here during COVID.
Right.
And so of course we were being protective of them.
Right.
And so
that's smart.
We all got that. And I mean, nothing happened to me. I was fine.
I mean
that I know
your
of.
tail is really only grown just a couple inches since
it's
I saw
fine.
it last.
Yeah. I always just tuck it under. So it's all good.
We've got a little harness for it. It's cute.
But it's gonna be what else? Okay, obviously like weather things always happen, but like do you think there's going to be another type of thing like COVID that we're going to see in our lifetime, or do you think there's going to be something else like very
how
strong?
Deep down the conspiracy theory hole do you want to go? I mean, because if you look at it, we have Twin Tower attacks, we have a stock market crash, and then we have COVID. We only have one natural disaster, folks. Hurricane Katrina. That one.
Well, that's the only one that we decided to talk about. There's been plenty of other natural disasters.
Right, but that was like one of the biggest ones in the media
around that same time frame.
I get it. Well, because like if you look at it, we had 2001, 2005, 2008. Like the 2000s were a spicy time.
They were.
And I mean, and then other events that you could think that we're living through right now. I mean, and in this country right now, I get it. There's other worldly events that are happening overseas. That's just not a part of our scope.
No. That's too much to even fathom in my brain.
Like when Notre Dame was burning.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine? How long has that building been there?
Oh my God. No.
Right? Like
what's crazy is I bet a lot of people don't even know about that.
Oh. Whoops. Spoiler alert. That was a couple years ago.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in general, I think are a lot of things that happen. Like, personally, when I looked up like worldly events,
Mhm.
like a lot comes up.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's country by country.
it is, and it's like date by date, like back. You know, you can narrow it down to however you want to search it. But I did a broad
I
search
mean,
at
we've
first.
had like civil wars. Yeah.
And like crazy stuff that like I've never even heard of. You know, and that's obvious. I'm sure it's vice versa from they have never heard about us.
Right.
Actually, that's probably incorrect. I think everybody around the world knows what happens in America.
We're pretty loud about it.
Yeah. Everybody knows what happens in America. We don't know.
Everybody
We
knows.
do not know
We
what
don't
happens.
know how to like be quiet about shit now or keep our stuff in our yard.
Yeah.
No.
But do you think there's going to be something else that
I
we
like.
what do you
if
think?
I had to, if I had
what
to
do you think we're
speculate,
gonna
I think
see
we're
in
gonna
our
go through
lifetime?
like a technology uprising.
Okay. Like robots?
Like I don't know, maybe not robots so much as more of like we're gonna be putting chips in ourselves, and then that's gonna cause some like interface issues, and I
Like,
think
what-
it's gonna get weird. I don't know.
What
I don't
would be
know.
the point?
I don't know.
This
I
is
don't know.
interesting. We have to. This is
Yeah,
going to be like a part 2 episode.
Sorry about that, but
We're
here's
leaving you
what I
hanging.
think.
We're going to leave you hanging on that one, guys. Because we're at our time now. But the next episode after this one is we're gonna continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
We're not like ending it completely, but
No.
this is gonna be a good topic for, apocalypse and
Do you know what we're doing
conspiracies.
next?
We are doing something really exciting.
We are going axe throwing.
Woohoo!
We said we would. It sounded like a great idea.
Yes.
So I found this cute little place in town. We're going to give it a shot.
We're gonna check it out. And I'm gonna take a camera with and record some clips for you
Show
guys.
you what that's like.
If we do well. If we do horrible, I'm not showing it.
I mean, bloopers are
We'll
still
show
funny.
it.
Yeah.
We'll show it either way.
Oh, it's great.
Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with us
Thanks
today.
for stopping by.
We do appreciate you. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, please.
We'll
All
see
your
you
friends.
on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Girl, did you hear?
Nah, girl, what?